Hello and welcome to this ET Now special. I'm Nayantara Rai. Today I have a very special guest, Housing Minister Mr. Hardeep Puri. Though I'm sure he would rather that I call him Chokidar Hardeep Puri. We will get to that in just a bit. Thank you for joining us here. So we're talking on a day when Nirav Modi has been arrested in London. I understand, and we've seen with the Vijay Mallya case, that extradition does take time. Vijay Mallya is still to come to India. Having said that, it's a big day. Nirav Modi being arrested in London. I'm sure the political establishment is also celebrating, as are the banks. This was seen as one of the blots in the Narendra Modi government's era, where someone who owed 14,000 crore rupees had run away, was absconding, and has finally been found and arrested.
I think it's a slap on the face of those who alleged that we somehow allowed him to go, as if there was some element of connivance or some, underhand dealing, etc. And I've always said the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The very fact that we have pursued this matter, that he has been arrested, and that we will be able to get him back very soon should correct that narrative.
What is very soon?
Very soon is depending on the... You see, when the Vijay Mallya case was there, all kinds of, impediments were sought to be placed. Indian jails are not safe, this is happening, that is happening, is not anchored in the rule of law. I think what we have been able to conclusively show in case after case, that these are fugitives, economic offenders, who have had fled the country after, as you say, 14,000 crores in this case. I am confident that the wheels of justice grind slowly, as in this case. Look, there are two things which are important. There was an entire culture of impunity which was established over 10 years of the Congress government. A lot of people looted the banks, took advantage of loopholes in the banking system, borrowed money with the intention of never repaying it.
Yeah.
And they either sought refuge outside the country or inside. I think that has changed. And what Mr. Modi's government has demonstrated very clearly, that no matter who you are, how well connected you are, if you have deliberately cheated the system will get you no matter where you are. And I think that is...
And is it bonanza that, Nirav Modi has been found and arrested with 3 weweeks to general elections?
Well, that may be...
It's a big talking point.
No, but that may be coincidental. First of all, for those who suggest that, this is being done just because there is an election around the corner and then after the election things will change, I think they need to do some introspection.
No, but Mr. Puri, I want to come in on that, and I'm playing devil's advocate. In 2014, ahead of general elections, the Prime Minister, in campaign mode, at every rally, talked about Robert Vadra.
Yes.
5 years down, he was never arrested. Yes, very recently is when the investigations have started, when he's being summoned by the Enforcement Directorate, but it's very recent and again very close to the general elections.
Yeah, welcome to the Indian legal system. Every time you try and get something done, whether it's the agencies investigating, look, you ultimately have to produce a body of proof. And I think in Mr. Vadra's case, if you'd rather just discuss that rather than Nirav Modi, I'm quite happy to switch. Look, one thing has been established beyond doubt, that in the case of Mr. Modi, there has been a deliberate attempt at falsification, creating a false narrative, etc. He's been finally arrested. Now, many people are saying, but it's going to take a long time for us to extradite him. So what would you rather have? That he would not have been arrested because it's going to take time to bring him back? I think we are looking at a reasonable period of time. I'm sure that the Ministry of External Affairs and all those who are working the consular system, and I think people...
And you're a former diplomat, so you know how these channels work.
Absolutely. This is not the first time that this has happened. We have brought many people back from the UAE.
But never from England.
Well, or even from England. I'm not so sure that this is correct. I remember the Special Prosecutor Ujjwal Nigam, I think is his name. When I was Deputy High Commissioner there, we were dealing with cases. Look, a system anchored in law, like the British system, where the individual has certain democratic rights and freedom, the individuals involved, if they're unscrupulous, will try and work those. But at the end, we'll get them back. In the end, we'll get them back.
But I want to come back to the point of back home. For example, what you saw against Robert Vadra. The case that exists between Karti Chidambaram as well as the former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram. This government is also being accused time and again of indulging in vindictive politics.
I don't accept that at all. And I want to reject that suggestion totally. Or to suggest in any of these cases, and I deal with several of them myself, and I don't want to bring those in here. Look, anyone who is guilty of wrongdoing, the first line of defense is, this is political. I mean, if you are guilty of money laundering, if there is evidence, if you exercise your authority or power that is given to you, and there is evidence of, consideration within inverted commas and money coming in, and you own properties, etc., which you find difficult to justify, where is a question of vindictiveness? Are you seriously suggesting, or is anyone suggesting, that one can concoct evidence in these cases? I mean, if you don't have foreign properties, or if you don't have foreign bank accounts, all you need to do is to just deny them and file counter charges. But no, they are trying to play out in the hope that the forthcoming elections will result in them getting some little bit of a comfort zone in terms of a political party. I don't think even they seriously think that the Congress can win the election.
You had come to power, and when I say you, I mean the government had come to power promising that you would go after corruption. I'd like to know, how many big corrupt people are behind bars put by this government? You're still prosecuting them. It's going to be 5 years. Demonetization, for example, had provided you a beautiful opportunity to go after them. It hasn't happened.
No, let me explain to you. First of all, in any system which involves wholesale, systematic and institutional cleansing, you have to do what is called a standstill and then a rollback. Let me explain this to you. You have to ensure that there are no further cases of corruption. In the last 5 years of the Modi government, have you come across a single case where you have, let alone credible evidence, any evidence that there has been wrongdoing or there has been an act of corruption by somebody in power, the Prime Minister or his senior minister?
Rahul Gandhi will obviously have
Rahul Gandhi,
he will say
Rahul Gandhi has flights of imagination. There was somebody in one of my senior colleagues in Parliament who said, let's find out what he's on, and he's hallucinating. I'm not going to go into that. First of all, not a single case. In the previous Congress-led UPA government, you had an entire alphabet of corruption. 2G, CWG.
Which is now, if you look at it, an embarrassment for the government. Being ruled by the courts was not a scam.
No, hold on. No, that's a separate issue. Let me come back.
How can that be a separate issue?
Let me explain to you. First of all, anyone who's indicted, first of all, you make an allegation, bring a charge sheet, you have to prove it, all right? Now,
that case has been lost.
No, 1 minute, I don't think the story is over. Let's not go there. Second thing, you have to work the courts. Is anyone suggesting that it is an effective and an expeditious process? We never speak against the court system because that's a fundamental tenet of democracy. But I can tell you, you see where we were in 2014 on the issue of corruption, where we are in 2019. You can argue in an individual cases, this action which has been taken last week should have been taken 3 years ago. But we have to navigate the system. I think we are going into the 2019 election with a very good track record in tackling corruption. Wow. Institutional level, demonetization, all right. Demonetization, you know what happened. There were loopholes in the banking system. People tried to...
How many bankers did you arrest?
No,
you blame the banking system, but how many bankers have been arrested?
Let me tell you. First of all, it's not my job on your show to drop a list of people who have been arrested, not arrested. It's also not my job to suggest against whom there is no evidence that they should be brought to justice, because that is a miscarriage of justice.
Fair enough.
All I'm saying is Mr. Nirav Modi, Mr. Vijay Mallya, Mr. Michel, or anyone else brought back, including people who were involved in the civil aviation sector, I forget the name, brought back from UAE. Look, they are facing trial now. They're facing trial. The argument can be that, but you haven't put them in jail. But the idea is not just to put them in jail. The idea is to bring them to trial with a view where you are able to establish conclusively, beyond any doubt, then to lock them up.
Okay, so that's one part of the story. I'm going to ask you, as we head into general elections 2019, 3 weeks to go, is bari kiski sarkar?
Modi ji ki sarkar. I have no doubt on that. And this is something I've been saying to you now and to other distinguished members of the fourth estate. Look, this is a government which likes to subject itself to scrutiny every 6 months or 1 year. All our programs, the details are in the public domain. All the programmatic interventions of my ministry, whether it's Swachh Bharat or Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana or any of them, they're all out in the public domain. All right. We are going into the 2019 elections with 3 things which stand out. One, a very positive agenda of delivery. Whether you're talking about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, you're talking about Ayushman Bharat, you're talking about crores, 8-9 crores of gas cylinders, or you're talking about electricity to the villages. That's one part. Secondly, you are going into the 2019 election with a leader with extremely high credibility, a leader who has demonstrated leadership and decisiveness in all sectors cutting across, whether it's national security, whether it is going after economic offenders, or fighting social injustices. I mean, it's across the board. And the third one, which is the most important, I mean, ultimately, in a democracy, it's the voter who is supreme. When you go to cast your ballot, you have a positive agenda, a tried, tested leader, or you have, whether you call it Mahagathbandhan or Mahamilawat or anything else, no clear idea who these people are, who the likely prime minister would be, what is their agenda, and you've got these bickering people. One day they bring up one narrative, next day the other narrative.
So how many seats do you think the BJP will win?
On its own? Clear majority on its own.
But so far from your opponents, we also don't know if Priyanka Gandhi is going to stand. Like that was considered to be, maybe one of the winning tricks of Rahul Gandhi when he announced about Priyanka Gandhi, but so far it seems she won't. You also are now being told that Mayawati is not going to stand.
She herself has said
She herself said so doesn't mean she can't change her mind, but so far she's saying she's not going to contest. How important are these two ladies in beating the BJP, or how seriously is the BJP looking at them?
You want my personal views on that? Because I don't think there's any official BJP view on what...
No, they don't respond to the...
No, let me tell you, I'm here speaking not as a, member of the Council of Ministers or somebody who's in the BJP political system. But let me just tell you, I doubted this whole business about the Mahagathbandhan from the day go. You know what's happening in the Bahujan Samaj Party. I don't want to comment on their money politics, how tickets are distributed, whether it is at all possible for the Bahujan Samaj Party and the Samajwadis, given the history of animosity. I've had doubts on that all along. So I'm not surprised that the Mahagathbandhan or the Mahamilawat is not doing as well as some people expected it to. So that's my personal take on it. Insofar as Priyanka Gandhi is concerned, and I'm choosing my words very carefully, look, you cannot enter serious political campaigning with a few weeks to go before the election. All right, there is a certain curiosity, there is a certain novelty. But at the end of the day, all of this is anchored in dynastic politics. In dynastic politics.
But she's still able to attract
the crowds. I have no doubt. I have no doubt that a lot of people will come out and see. She is the...
Can she convert them into votes?
Well, that's something that the electorate will have to demonstrate.
Is that what I'm asking you?
I am not concerned. I'm not concerned at all.
It's not as if Mayawati is not going to campaign either.
Oh, I'm sure she's going to campaign, but and maybe she's not contesting because she wants to spend more time in campaigning, because she thinks that if she campaigns and then loses her own seat, she'll be tied down to one constituency. So a lot of people in the political system decide not to contest because they want to have the freedom to go around campaigning. Look, I don't think
so. Is that why people like Sushma Swaraj from your party are not standing?
No, first of all, in Sushma ji's case, let's be very clear. She was very candid upfront that because of her illness, the kind of interaction, going around, the kind of travel schedule, mixing with people, etc. After you've been through a medical, you've had a medical history or like this, she has said upfront that she will not be able to do that. That doesn't mean that she is not going to be around to shoulder responsibility after the 2019 election. So put that aside. Look, I think in the case of the Congress party, Mr. Gandhi has been an apprentice. He's been in the apprenticeship for an extended period of time. He is yet to show that he can actually convert whatever he is doing into votes. I am not convinced that Priyanka Gandhi's entry as a second apprentice is going to make any qualitative difference. But then that's a point of view which
you don't think it's going to make much of a
difference? Not at all.
There is one event which has been politicized by both sides. Both sides are guilty of politicizing, and that is the recent airstrike, the first that you have seen, in many decades by India to Pakistan after Pulwama. It's unfortunate, I say that as a citizen, that both
I don't
sides,
disagree.
Both sides have politicized it.
If you can conclusively prove that there has been politicization by both sides, I wouldn't disagree. But I don't agree with you. But I'll come to that in a minute. Yeah.
Okay. It does seem as if it's been politicized, and I'll get to that. How important has this been ahead of general elections, or do you think it is possible to separate the two, to divorce from them?
I can separate them, and I can tell you exactly what has happened. What are the facts? The fact is that a terror outfit, one that is broadly accepted, proscribed, listed as a terror entity in most parts of the world, the Jaish-e-Mohammed, claims it was responsible for a heinous act which resulted in the killing of 44 of our brave hearts. That's a fact.
Yeah.
They claimed responsibility, and then they went on to say, we will carry out further such strikes. These are the facts. Unlike in the past, unlike in the pre-2014 period, where we were victims of a strategic restraint which the Manmohan Singh government worked out in its own mind and became a victim of, we're saying because we are both nuclear weapon states, we cannot take counteraction. The Prime Minister has decisively demonstrated that, forget about what the strategic restraint was, we are not carrying out a strike against Pakistan, the civilian population or the military, but a terrorist outfit which carried out a strike, we will go and get them wherever they are. So our aircraft went in 80 or 100 kilometers in. We have shown absolute credible proof. One magazine has shown those pictures where particular kind of ammunition, precision guided, was dropped. It went, hit the target in a almost, I wouldn't say 100%, but beyond 80%, etc., and achieved the purpose. We have evidence that that was a jihadi seminary, where there were military personnel as trainers, where there were jihadis as trainers, and where there were trainees. What more can the government do? And I'm also a little surprised. Those who say that, you know, you're politicizing it. Did we carry out the terror strike? This is a point which should be addressed to the Pakistani. I think
but when you take victory, when you take, this is what I want to ask you, when you take victory for it, you know, aren't our air forces, our security forces supposed to be independent?
Of course they're independent, but wait a minute. If the Air Force takes retaliatory action against a terror action against India, the Air Force celebrates and every Indian citizen celebrates. So what do you want the Bharatiya Janata Party to say? Acha, aap log celebrate kariye, hum yahan pe, you know, we'll stand by it. Of course you join the celebration. What happened? Now you can't say that you're taking advantage of this before the election. The Pakistanis carried out the strike, a Pakistani terror strike. Should we have been like the attack on Mumbai, 26/11, where they came, attacked a civilian establishment in the heart of a commercial sector, and all we sat back and said, we have exercised a choice. We have a strategic restraint, therefore we will not take action. Which would you prefer? Obviously you'd prefer the robust retaliatory action taking. So I think the opposition has tied itself up in knots. When they started...
That's why they're not talking about it maybe anymore.
मुंह दिखाने लायक नहीं है. पहले कहते थे आप प्रूफ दिखाइए क्या है. You know, the day that strike was carried out, there was a cloud cover. Maybe you couldn't get the imagery. Subsequently, when the clouds lifted, उनकी अकल भी जो है ना, उस पे पर्दा पड़ा हुआ था. I think now they don't want to come back.
As a former diplomat, I want to ask you this as well. After that, I think it's from an Indian's perspective, it's been very unfortunate what China has done at the United Nations Security Council, though it is more symbolic in nature. I get it. That entire vote is symbolic because the outfit, Jaish-e-Mohammed, is considered to be a global terror outfit.
Madam, it is listed as a terror outfit.
So
the norm, I have represented in...
I myself saying that the move to designate him as a global terrorist is more symbolic.
Yeah.
I get that. I am saying that up front. But the fact that China could once again veto it, the way we're trying to isolate Pakistan.
Choose your words very
hold it.
It's not a veto.
Not a veto, but hold. So they want to think about it. They want to think about it. The fact that we're still trying to isolate Pakistan should have been done many years ago, may not should have been done many years ago. That's a totally different debate. But going forward, as a former diplomat, what are India's options? What can be done?
First of all, I would choose my words very carefully. It's not a veto, it's a technical hold.
Technical hold. I corrected myself. Technical hold.
Secondly,
for which the US is also not supposed to be putting pressure.
We are not trying to isolate Pakistan. Pakistan is a victim of its own policies and stands isolated. What has the United States said in its statement? Look, there are 15-member Security Council, 5 permanent members, 10 elected members. Out of the 15, 14 have asked for this person, Masood Azhar, to be also listed. Jaish is already listed.
That's what I'm saying. It is symbolic in nature. That's why I said it.
This is something quite simple. The United States said that if the Security Council Sanctions Committee 1267 on Al-Qaeda and Taliban doesn't do the listing, we'll go elsewhere. And the French have done it. French have gone and proscribed him, and they are going to the European Union. I see the others following suit. But can I hazard a guess? And I am happy to come back to your program. It's only a matter of weeks. It's only a matter of weeks. International behavior by permanent members of the Security Council, maybe they felt a certain compulsion that at this point of time they didn't want to let Pakistan, drop Pakistan completely. But all the signals I have, including a statement I came across from the Chinese ambassador in Delhi, other discussions I've had. I was at a diplomatic function last night, an old friend of mine who used to be Undersecretary for Political Affairs in a place where I was posted. We were having a chat. The general impression is, and that's why I think the Indian government's characterization of what the Chinese have done has been very mature. I think it's only a matter of weeks before you will find a solution.
Isn't this also one of the faults of the Nirav Modi government? And I'm going to ask you this question as we wind down the interview. That you have not been able to control the narrative. This is a government which is not
those who are losing the narrative.
1 second, please let me finish. Who are not seen as who are not seen as liked by the media. A prime minister doesn't give press conferences. You talked about institutional cleansing, but one who has attacked institutions. This is the same government for, you've had the four rebel judges. Hold on. 1 second, CBI versus CBI. This shows your management, the management, I'm saying.
You want to compare Mr. Modi's record in interacting with the press with Dr. Manmohan Singh? I don't know what your comparison point is. So let's put that aside. I think Mr. Modi is the most hardworking, energetic, on-the-job Prime Minister India has ever had. Let me tell you about the narrative. The narrative, if the narrative is what the Lutyens media in Delhi puts out, these were the beneficiaries of a political system for 10 years, all right? Most of these guys, having been beneficiaries of that system, last time the Congress party got less than 10% of the seats in the Lok Sabha. Now those guys are hoping against hope by producing a false narrative, hoping that the Congress party will somehow come back. I think the writing is clear on the wall. Whether you look at the kind of alliances which are being formed, all our alliance partners are back. Others are waiting to join us. Wait a minute. We have not lost any narrative. There is today the real news and there is a fake news. Therefore, I'm surprised when anybody comes and you've lost a narrative. On what? You look at narrative is what plays out in the press, what plays out not in the drawing rooms of Delhi, what plays out amongst the people of India. And I travel extensively. Let me tell you, the narrative is capturing the real this thing. And I think that those who are, including in the Congress party itself and those in the others, they are beginning to feel the heat. Therefore, they come up to say, this has been politicized, that has been politicized. Institution, which was the biggest assault on institution, democracy, the emergency in 1975. Who attacked the Supreme Court? Mrs. Gandhi's time. Who attacked the Supreme Court more recently? Mr. Kapil Sibal and his types. So who is attacking the institution? The Congress party. But because they are on a losing streak and because they don't have very much else to talk about, they say the BJP-led government is an onslaught on institution. So now they're upset that we're giving it back to them in kind. And we're giving it back to them in kind and demonstrating that we are doing this through a democratic process which has never been as strong as it is today.
I'm going to make this my final question because I know you look at the politics in Delhi very closely. We've not heard anything about the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party as yet, though, someone like Sharad Pawar is also trying to get them together. If they do come together, what is it going to be?
Hey, wait a minute. First of all, let's get our facts correct. Rewind to 2014, January, okay? The Aam Aadmi Party, before that, it finds its genesis and origin in the anti-corruption movement started by Anna Hazare. Whom were they agitating against?
Congress. I know they got together.
So now, every time you open the newspaper, you've got speculation कि वो मिल रहे हैं, नहीं मिल रहे हैं. What has happened in the 5 years? Has the Congress become corruption-free, or has the Aam Aadmi become so full of corruption that it has no hesitation in joining forces with the Aam Aadmi Party? Look, whether the Aam Aadmi Party fights alone or in unison with the Congress party. You want my prediction? We'll get all 7 seats in Delhi.
All 7 seats?
All 7 seats in Delhi.
Well, Mr. Hardeep Puri, after the elections, I'll be back and we'll discuss the performance of the Bharatiya Janata Party. With that, I'd like to thank you.
Thank you. All the best.